So Joseph, not Joseph of Mary and Joseph, but Joseph whose brothers beat him up and sold him into slavery. Joseph who was put into prison by a jealous woman, who was on Pharaoh's high court. That Joseph. Joseph of the technicolored dreamcoat variety. When Joseph's father died, he had to ask Pharaoh to go back and to mourn and bury his father in the traditional Jewish fashion. Pharaoh said yes, and so Joseph was on his way. But Joseph's brothers, they were pretty nervous about Joseph coming back. They didn't know what he could do with his power, the things that he had with his position, because Joseph's brothers treated him pretty poorly. They said, hey, remember that guy that we beat up and we sold into slavery? Yeah, what if he didn't like that? So, obviously I'm paraphrasing this a little bit. So he comes back and they give him a message. They say, this was our father's dying wishes. The message said, so I know your brothers were pretty terrible. They did some pretty bad things, but after all, you love them and you serve the same God. When the brothers gave this message to Joseph, he fell down on his knees and cried, and they did the same. They begged for his forgiveness, and they started saying that they would even be his slaves if he would just have mercy on them. Joseph replied, and he said, do not be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to do me harm, but God intended it for good, to preserve his numerous people, even as he is doing today. So do not be afraid. I myself will care for you and your little ones. It's not really the response that most of us would expect when somebody said, hey, sorry, we tried to kill you. But Joseph was pretty forgiving. One interesting thing about Joseph's speech is that he says, am I in the place of God? Almost as if to say, why are you even asking my forgiveness? And subtly hinting that they need to ask God's forgiveness. Joseph was able to give them this forgiveness because he knew that God had still used him for greatness. Second point that's interesting is that Joseph gave a gift to his brothers. He said, I will take care of you and your families. This is usually given as restitution for the people that have been transgressed. But Joseph gives it to his brothers, the transgressors, because he loves them. Joseph's brothers accept the offer and move to Egypt with him. When Joseph dies, they bury him with the utmost respect. See, too often we hesitate to forgive someone because we think that they haven't earned it. But we often forget that forgiveness is an act of grace, and grace cannot be earned. You will never deserve someone else's forgiveness, and no one will ever deserve your forgiveness. But Joseph shows us it's not about that. He shows us that we need to forgive others before they even ask, and we need to show them as much love as possible. Many of you have people whom you do not want to forgive because you think that they haven't earned it. But take a lesson from Joseph. Forgiveness belongs to God, not you.